If you could have the answer to any unsolved mystery, which one would you choose and why? The mystery of Göbekli Tepe. Who built it? Why did they continue to build it for centuries before stopping abruptly? And why did they cover it up? Why that particular spot when there are evidence to suggest that nearest water source was at least a couple of miles away? It is believed P1 to years old, and people say that it's a temple. In fact, world's first temple. But dedicated to which god? What religion? By what civilization? What happened to them? Jessica Chambers. Girl is found wandering down the street on fire in a small town. 98 burns. Investigators found she'd had gasoline poured down her throat and ignited so she'd burn from the inside out. She obviously died. First responders needed therapy because of how graphic the scene was. The police found a suspect, but there was no clear motive and most of the evidence was circumstantial. It is a truly sad and harrowing case. I know there are more serious mysteries to uncover, but when I was younger, we had an Alexa in the kitchen. Sometimes when I would sneak past it into the living room or the kitchen at night, when everyone else was asleep, it would say either hello or have a good night. I still don't know if it was my brother using the Alexa app to fuck with me, or if it was a feature my parents turned on, or if that house was fucking haunted. The Voynich manuscript. It's a codex of unknown origin written in a cipher that has yet to be decoded. Carbon dating puts it at around 15th century. But most of the research on it started around the 1930s when it was purchased by Wilfred Voynich at a college book sale. More than likely, it's something really mundane. But it's an interesting mystery nonetheless. Did the 3 escapees from Alcatraz actually make it? Frank Morris and the Anglin brothers pulled off an elaborate escape plan and at least got into a raft in the bay. What happened to D.B. Cooper? Hijacked a plane, got a couple $100,000 and jumped out with a parachute. Never found. Do women want to know if they look fat in their outfit or not? Probably the most complexing of all mysteries. The Yuba County 5. That has so many unanswered questions and no apparent obvious explanations. Why did they take that detour? Did they meet anyone as some have claimed? Why did they decide to leave a perfectly well-running car that was hardly stuck? Why did they stay in that shack? Why didn't they eat the food and stay warm when they could have easily done so for months? The list goes on. As for a case, the Springfield 3, it's amazing how 3 women just disappeared into thin air. And we have so little evidence as to what happened. For conspiracies, I do wonder what the worst secret that the government has ever kept from us is. As for an overall mystery, I wish I could see footage of people building Stonehenge or the pyramids, just to see exactly how they did it. There's a lot of questions that I would want answered. However, I would like to know how to fix society, true democracy, and give free access to basic needs and services to people. We can accomplish a lot of things and achieve new levels cultural and scientific development that were once though impossible. I have a cousin who disappeared years ago. All signs indicate that she was kidnapped, but local authorities insisted she ran away and didn't take it seriously. She's been missing for many years now, and I would very much like to know what happened to her. Not necessarily the details. I can't imagine those would be pleasant, but I want to know for sure if she's alive or not. A local teen girl in a town I grew up in went missing at a party. Just walked into the bush and was never seen again. Did she fall into an old mine shaft? Go swimming in the river? Did some grubby man do something? It's just the one that crosses my mind when I see this post. So many people are still asking for closure 20 years on, and it seems they'll never get it. Lars Mitting has always been super intriguing to me, but I feel like my theory for that one is pretty solid. JBR is like such a mystery. Not. If you know what I mean. I think I'd go Lauren Spire to help her fam and nail those bastards. Or like go really huge unsolved mystery of like, what's after death? That's technically an unsolved mystery, ain't it? The day after high school graduation, my best friend of for years disconnected his phone number deactivated his email IM accounts, and I never heard from him again. Many years later, after Facebook became a thing, I sent a friend request to an account that I'm 99 sure is him, but it went unresponded to never even decline. I'd love to know WTF happened. Lauren Spire disappearance. I worked at the pizza place next to where she lived at the time, and it was my last summer in that town right after college. I remember the signs everywhere. There still may be some. So selfishly I want to know, because it is the most impactful on me personally, and was very strange anyway overall. Where did Xavier Dupont de Ligons is? He is an average Frenchman that out of nowhere killed his wife for kids and 2 dogs more than 10 years ago and disappear. Dupont de Ligons C3AA South C3AA Tess. What religion is right about that there's oblivion? Then the answer will be Church of Satan. If so, I can live my best life while I live WO worrying as to what happens after. Also, I can save myself all the time and energy reading all those holy books and get to work on earning my place in the best option. I'm happy because the moving rocks of Death Valley got sold a few years ago. I remember reading about them in a book as a kid and wondering how on earth these rocks could gradually move across the desert floor, but not when anyone is looking. I was actually very satisfied when I finally learned the answer. Jefferson Davis and the missing Confederate treasure he took when he fled. Local Dale Dinwiddie went missing after the Utah concert in Columbia, SC on September 24, 1992. No public leads, although we hear rumblings that the local PD are following leads, or that have persons of interest, at nothing concrete. 1. The Bermuda Triangle. This region in the western part of the North Atlantic Ocean has been associated with numerous disappearances of ships and aircraft under mysterious circumstances. The exact cause of these disappearances remains unknown, leading to speculation and various theories. Was the FBI or the CIA involved in the death of Martin Luther King? JFK always accepted was Oswald on his own. He was a commie, training in shooting. He had motive, he had opportunity, he acted alone. But the guy who killed MLK, I ever really was convinced he acted alone for some reason. It's fair to say that we cannot do it in an atmosphere, and it would likely only be in space that we can. But would it be possible for a ship to do so? And what would be the effects on the human body? What the fuck happened to the Roanoke colony? Like, what actually happened? I want to know in detail. Ever since I heard about it in 4th grade, it's always made me so curious. Edit. Also, something is not right in the Blue Ridge Mountains. That shit freaks me out. Whether or not God is real, and if he is, what can I do to get the best possible afterlife? I figure, if it turns out God isn't real, I just live my life, and if he is real, and I don't follow him or I follow the wrong God, I would much rather not be damned. Who killed Gordon Edwin Sanderson? He was found horribly disfigured after being violently killed and put into a septic tank in 1977. Nobody has been charged. https Edmonton Journal. CON News. Local news. 1977 homicide victim cold case identified Edmonton. If I ever become super rich, I have promised myself to fund another expedition to find out what the Baltic Sea anomaly is really about. Never been so curious about anything else like this before. Anyone rich enough to spare $30 million for an expedition? Voynich manuscript granted. I feel if it was actually translated, it would probably be full crude pseudo-sex science stuff and alchemy. But it'd still be interesting, no ... Or AB instead translating Mycenaean. They just seem neat. Ruth behind any magic. I'm quite scientific-minded, but the fact that thousands of religions all over the world used to believe in some kind of magic or otherworldly power seems a little too coincidental. My great-uncle worked for the CIA and was sent to Mexico in the 60s to run a textile factory. He had a whole second family down there no one knew about until later. No one in my family knows what he was really doing down there. Survivable faster than light travel. Cure for cancer, sickness in general. Eternal youth. True transcendence of consciousness. programmable nanomachines, unlimited free energy. There's others, but I'm at work and breaks over. I strangely like that a lot of these aren't famous missing persons cases, but something more meaningful and personal to them. Helps me, as someone who has often wanted to disappear, remember that maybe some people do care. The answer to this riddle: stuck on this one dingbat. -1 are puzzles. Comment 1C9 MEQ completely stuck on this one dingbat. The devil's cattle falls. Yes. I know the theories. I know what some scientists are pretty sure is the explanation. But we don't know for sure. I want a 100 definitive answer of where that water goes. I want to know exactly all the points where Euler's zeta function cancels. I could get $1 million and a medal for that. Also, I would be the most famous fraud of all times amongst the mathematicians who committed the Hinterkaifeck murders, mostly because at this point no one will ever know who committed them due to the amount of years that have passed and the fact that the house is no longer there. What happened to Michael Donaghy? Little boy went missing from a park in Victoria, BC in broad daylight in 1991. I think about him all the time and wonder if we'll ever know what happened. Who did the Reichstag fire? Where Theo Hayes is? The 18-year-old Belgian backpacker that went mysteriously missing in Australia in 2019. It's so mysterious and makes me so sad. I'd take one of any number of unsolved murders in my home community. I suspect that they are all connected, and solving one would lead to a domino effect of solving them all.